welcome to all my crypto theists. So I wanted to. I gave a live broadcast in the car in the Facebook group to the people in the Facebook group, but I need to continue posting to YouTube, building up my social media following, so I can take things to the next level. So I want to. A lot of what I'm going over is maybe redundant for some of you, but at the same time, I also want to reinforce, what I stated in the car on the way here with some, visual support of what I was talking about. So anyway, like I said, last night, I was just contemplating where we are in this cryptocurrency space. There have been a bunch of developments that have happened that make me feel like the market is about to go pretty bullish. Prices are, at all-time, lows. Bitcoin is still, over 10 grand, and it's going to continue to rise. But they're talking about, the price being driven down that much more based off of these speculations that have been made due to the futures market that has changed the dynamic of how things operate in the cryptocurrency space. And so basically, individuals have invested in betting against the price of Bitcoin, which, can bring some speculators. In a perfect world, individuals would just, sit back and say, I wager that Bitcoin is going to drop down to whatever amount of dollars or whatever. But we know, based off of human nature and greed and, just ability, if people have the ability to do evil and get away with it, or to manipulate things and get away with it, because some people may not interpret what they're doing as evil, they're going to do so. And, I can't blame them for that. I don't like it, obviously, but, I can't blame them. So individuals, who people have bet against Bitcoin, individuals who have Bitcoin may have decided that they wanted to hop in that market too, purchase some, futures, sell some, Bitcoin, and drive the price down, cause bots to unload Bitcoin, and at exponential rates or whatever until it gets down to the price of those future options, and then they repurchase once it gets down to that lower price. Repurchase, and they collect money on both ends. They get their Bitcoin back; it goes back up in value, but they also, get the benefits from those options. So, that being said, that's what's going on in regard to the market, right now, and pretty much 1% of Bitcoin holders hold. I think it's like 80-90% of the Bitcoin that's out there. So there's a bunch of individuals, who have a shit ton of Bitcoin, who have the option and the ability, to cause, these huge price fluctuations. But one thing that you have to recognize is that these they're not getting rid of their Bitcoin. They're not throwing it into the ether and just totally going back into fiat currency. This is just a game being played in order for them to make a little bit of money, and for other people who are invested to make a little bit of money, or not even a little bit of money, a lot of money. So that being said, if you hold it and you don't hop on that FUD bandwagon and shed all of your assets or whatever, and you just weather the storm, eventually, your investment in crypto will come back. But that being said, that's one thing that's happening today is the last big futures are being offloaded or called in or whatever. So the number I've been hearing is around 8,000 something. That's the magic number, apparently, that all the futures are settling at. They predicted that the Bitcoin price would drop down to that. So basically, investors who are manipulating the market are encouraging the market to drop down to that price point, and then after that there'll be a great buyback and a big surge, back up. So that's one thing that's going to happen. So if you are able to buy at this dip, then you have the opportunity to get a lot of cryptos that are tied to Bitcoin. Because we've talked about that before. A lot of cryptocurrencies, pretty much all the cryptocurrencies, are tied to Bitcoin as the standard. It's the digital gold. So everything else tends to reflect off of that. So you have an opportunity to buy a lot of Bitcoin, sit on it, and then wait for it to rise back up. And I'm telling you that it's going to rise back up because there's a lot of things on the horizon that we're going to talk about today. One of the things that I found was Coinbase is rumored to be adding some extra currencies. We don't know when, but now is the prime time. First of all, Coinbase is supposedly about to release a Super Bowl ad, and in that Super Bowl ad, I'm pretty sure they'll talk about their service, but I highly doubt that's the only thing they're going to do. They're not going to be trying to drive people to Coinbase just to buy Bitcoin, which we know is extremely expensive, and so. With that being said, they're going to have to offer a little bit more than come get some Bitcoin at Coinbase. They're going to have to talk about some other developments for their platform, for their service, for their market. But I speculate that they're probably they're going to introduce some other cryptocurrency options because everybody's not going to have the money, or they're going to be dealing with a lot of fear as to going and investing in Bitcoin at this time because of the volatility of Bitcoin. But if you present some cheaper options, then individuals will probably hop on that. A lot of noobs will probably hop on that because we know Coinbase is an on-ramp for a lot of individuals who don't know a lot about cryptocurrency. That's the first place they go and buy something. We saw that happen with Bitcoin Cash. People saw Bitcoin, they saw Bitcoin Cash, and then the day that Coinbase dropped Bitcoin Cash, individuals were like, well, I can get one Bitcoin for, $15,000, $18,000, or I can get this Bitcoin Cash over here that's, significantly less. Let me go with the Bitcoin Cash or whatever. And then you saw Bitcoin Cash shoot up. In addition to all the issues in regard to Bitcoin, the slow transfer rates, the lightning is coming, and I'm sure it is, or whatever. But at this point, I really fear that adoption is probably not going to be SegWit 2, 2x, SegWit, Lightning. All these protocols are being built on top of Bitcoin. Actually, they make it work better, but I feel like they also hinder it because, like I said before, individuals want the functionality of fiat cash, but in a digital form. That's what they're looking for. They're not looking to open up Lightning nodes between them and a client and preloading that with some Bitcoin and putting in extra. That's for techies. Like, I can do that shit. You might be able to do that shit. But the thing is, your grandma cannot do that shit. Now, I always go back to your grandma because your grandma is the ultimate consumer. That's once your grandma gets it, then you've got mass adoption. If your grandma is able to understand how the technology works, even if she's not able to explain, like there's very few people who know what HTTP is. They don't know what PHP is. They don't know, they don't know what a server is. But your grandma knows how to use the internet. All right. Bitcoin is becoming like that. It's becoming this technology where you have to learn all of these extra facets about it, and you got to damn near be a coder in order for you to interface with it, and that prevents adoption. That hinders adoption a lot, and that's the main reason why Bitcoin Cash has taken up a lot of Bitcoin's lunch. But I digress. So Bitcoin has kind of muddied the waters in regard to what cryptocurrency is. It's still a great store of value, but getting your stuff in, getting your stuff out, moving it around, conducting exchanges, it's not so easy. And in my opinion, that's hurting the culture. So when it comes time for a new cryptocurrency to be added to Coinbase, a bunch of people want to flock to that, especially if it's faster, if it works the way Bitcoin was supposed to work, but without all the bells and whistles and drama, then that's what people are going to gravitate toward. But they're also going to gravitate toward other cryptocurrencies as they try to expand and diversify, their portfolios. Some people will want to do Bitcoin Cash because they're just simply looking for a digital currency that they can use to exchange value without having to go through a Western Union or a local bank or whatever. But other individuals may say, I want to see my money grow. I like the stock market, and I understand, how that mentality translates over to cryptocurrency. So let me hop on one of these other, top 10 altcoins or tokens that are out there. So that brings you back, full circle to Coinbase. So yeah, if you go to Coinbase and let's just say we type in, let's type in my favorite right now, my favorite hold right now, token hold, Neo. So I type in Neo right here at Coinbase support, and I hit return. And we got one result that's found for Neo. So then I go down to supported digital currencies because one result was found for Neo, so Neo should show up in this result somewhere, right? So I click on it. Trying to get to the page. Loading. All right. And if you can do this yourself. I scroll through. Neo is nowhere to be found in the results here. I mean, there's some links, some click-through links, and I haven't clicked on every single one of them. But I've clicked on a couple, and Neo isn't found in those sublinks too. So even if you're talking about, well, maybe it's in one of these links, Brandon, or whatever, when I dial down, I haven't found it. If you find it, let me know, and maybe I'll eat my words or whatever. But it's not here, okay? But then let me put in something a little bit more obscure. So Neo gave me this result. Let me type in Monero, because Monero is pretty old. It's been out there. It's a security coin. If Coinbase was just talking about generally all cryptocurrencies, Monero should be in there. So let me type in Monero. So I'll type in XMR because that's the designation for Monero. 0 results for Monero. 0 results. Okay, so either somebody at Coinbase has decided that they weren't going to talk about, they were going to talk about some cryptocurrencies and not the other ones in regard to what's supported and what's not supported or whatever, or there's something going on in the coding of this site where specific currencies are going to be added or mentioned or referenced, but we just don't have concrete links to that. There could be a hidden document that we're not seeing, or that support page is going to be updated at some point in the future. I don't know. This is somewhat speculation. This is just a hack that I found whenever I was online surfing through the interwebs and everything, but I want to believe, and this brings me to my second point, that this is indicative of a future addition of cryptocurrencies, because if you add these other currencies that I'm mentioning, any of the other top 10 or whatever, that's significantly less than Bitcoin, significantly less than Ethereum, then you're going to have individuals who already have money say, like, yeah, just like that Bitcoin Cash, I want to get something else that's cheaper, that has a lot more room for growth. Because if you get Bitcoin is not going to double tomorrow. It's not. It's too high. And so the room for growth is significantly less. And so that means that adopters are not going to rush unless they just want to have some Bitcoin that bad. They're not going to rush back to the market. But if I see, some stellar lumens on the market, and what's the thing for stellar? Let me look at XLM. Looking at my Coinergy account. So let me type in XLM. Okay, XLM didn't show up either. All right, let me try Ripple. I think that's what, XRP? Okay, Ripple didn't come up either. All right, let's try Verge. Nope. So, all right, so Neo's the only one that's showing up. Let's look at... Let's look at CoinMarketCap. I want to see something real quick. Okay, let's look at Cardano, because I'm looking at getting some Cardano. Let's type in some ADA. Nope, Cardano's not out there either. That's weird. Let us... So it's funny, how Neo will show up, and we tried XLM. Let's try EOS. Oh, EOS showed up. EOS. All right. So some are showing up, some are not. So that's weird for me. And this is all I'm going off of here. Just these results down here. So yeah. So the other thing is Robinhood was just launched, and Robinhood is a stock market trading platform that's existed for a while now. I'll type that in. Let's go there real quick. So yeah, it prides itself as being investing for everybody else, and it's got a slick Apple-ish, all white, website or whatever. But yeah, there's this is the big thing right here. Robinhood crypto 24/7. I signed up for this yesterday whenever I found out about it, and I was in there, and now we're almost at 400,000 people who are in line to get early access. I was in there right when it was under 100,000 whenever I found out about it. So just overnight, it's gone, up significantly. And, a lot of people are talking about this because, it's going to be a main competitor for Coinbase. They're given it's only in 5 states right now that you can actually have. I mean, you can access the website wherever it's on the internet, but you can only actually invest apparently in the stock market in 5 states. Now, I don't know if that applies to the offerings that they're trying to make in regard to crypto, because crypto is not the same as the stock market. So technically, they could bypass all that investment bullshit that they had to deal with the stock market and say, you know what? We're going to open this up to everybody and just go national, global, with it, because there's no regulations necessarily involved with trading crypto behind just reporting your taxes and your gains and whatnot. And so as long as you aren't dealing in securities, that's the main reason why Coinbase is taking so long to add other cryptocurrencies, because once they start dealing in certain currencies, they're going to have to register with the Securities Exchange Commission, because the Securities Exchange Commission recognizes those tokens as actual securities, as opposed to just regular assets that are being traded. So there's a whole other set of laws that apply to certain currencies that don't apply to others. Bitcoin is not regarded as a security. However, when you're talking about Neo is, because Neo generates dividends in the form of gas. So that makes Neo operate differently. So I've talked a lot about crypto assets and cryptocurrencies. And so these markets have stayed away from these crypto assets, these tokens, because some of these tokens actually operate more like those securities that need to be regulated and monitored and whatnot. And so that being said, we have Robinhood entering that space, and we know there's been some issues in regard to Coinbase. Slow times as far as registration was concerned. Some of this is just, indicative of the fact that Coinbase was not ready to handle this influx of individuals who, hopped on this cryptocurrency bandwagon. But some of it is, how Coinbase is structured. Whenever they released Bitcoin Cash, they were not able to handle the returns. Coinbase, which also runs GDAX, they weren't able to handle, the surge of investors who were trying to get access to Bitcoin Cash, and and not only that, but people who are offloading Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, it was a perfect storm of opportunities. Like, all the issues in regard to Bitcoin, came to the surface because people were trying to move stuff out, but then, at the same time, Bitcoin is having so many issues in regard to, fees and clogging up the blockchain and everything. So individuals weren't able to get their stuff out and made a lot of people pissed off, and it literally just froze up the market. But they stopped taking applications. They were having difficulty processing and working through the transfers that they had. So if you had Bitcoin Cash, elsewhere, as I did, you saw a nice little return, and you were able to act and move on that in another market, but you couldn't move on it in GDAX or on Coinbase, because the two are connected. It was literally like frozen. Your assets were frozen there. You just had to watch everything drop or go off. And then there was the accusation that's still being investigated. I haven't heard anything else about it. If anybody else has, feel free to post a link or talk about it. But there was the accusation that there was some insider trading going on at Coinbase in the form of individuals letting other people know, hey, we're about to release Bitcoin Cash, buy in here or offload here or whatever. And so that kind of manipulation left a sour taste in a bunch of people's mouths, and drove a lot of people mad and away from crypto. And so yeah, that's why Robinhood actually has a pretty good chance. On top of that, they have an installed user base. I don't know how many people use Robinhood right now. I just know it's a very, very popular app. But I don't know their installed user base, a specific number. I just know it's a lot. Because you're talking about people who were trading stocks before they even were thinking about cryptocurrency. And so the stock market, is pretty much the predecessor of the cryptocurrency market. And a lot of the things that we observe, and a lot of the tools and manipulations and things that go on in the cryptocurrency market come from the stock market. It's basically a derivative of the stock market. And so yeah, you have a lot of individuals who knew about stocks, who were trading stocks, who were trading stocks, who might be interested in getting into crypto now, and this is going to be a nice little, on-ramp for them. They may not have been comfortable about going to Coinbase, but they're definitely going to be hella comfortable about just swiping over in the app and just, buying a little bit of Bitcoin, buying a little bit of Ethereum, getting their feet wet with crypto. And that's what we want. We want adoption. This is great for crypto currency, blockchain technology, insert your other alternative, secure technology here or whatever. It's great for crypto. So, but it's going to be pretty much of a nightmare for Coinbase, because they're going to be going back and forth, with these guys. And that's also great for us too, because they're going to be pandering for our business. They're going to be trading. Not trading, they're going to be working on improving their trades, improving their trade times, their platforms, their support. They're going to be adding more tokens. I anticipate it's going to be a back and forth. Coinbase is going to add, Neo, and then Robinhood's going to respond by adding, stellar lumens or something like that, until you have just as viable and just as liquid a market as you can find in some of the foreign exchanges like Binance. Now, I mean, that's the other caveat we're going to have to deal with here is, even with all this competition, the big specter overlooming everything is, the bullshit regulation that's going on in regard to the Securities Exchange Commission and, the tax mandates that are coming out in regard to crypto that have basically been implemented with the whole tax plan in regard to crypto. Where you got to keep track of your assets, and these companies are not going to they're not going to protect you. If the IRS comes to them and says, we want all the information that you have on all the trades that have been done on your exchange, they're going to cough it up. So you got to make sure that you're keeping track. If you're going to be on either of these exchanges, you got to make sure that you're keeping track of everything that you're doing. You're accounting for what you've spent. You're paying taxes on all of your exchanges. I don't know if they're going to have APIs and allow for bots to trade on their exchanges. I don't think GDAX uses bots or allows for bots. But yeah, I mean, if they do, you need to make sure that whatever software you're using, whatever API enabled software you're using for trading and whatnot, you want to make sure that you're able to print out some sort of log of all your exchanges and trades, and set aside a significant portion of your funds, for a potential tax and blowback. That's all I can say. Now, if you're dealing on a foreign exchange like Binance, the U.S. government is not going to be able to petition Binance and get all that information, from them. So I feel like you're a little bit more insulated there. However, whenever you do bring it back stateside to convert to fiat, you're going to have to report some gains or whatever. And so just be aware of that. And like I said, I'm not a licensed financial counselor, so you need to go and speak with somebody and I don't do taxes. So you need to go and speak with, your tax man about this. Find somebody who is versed in these new laws and let them know, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I've done. Here are all my trades. Fix this shit. Because I'm not going to be able to do that, myself. I'm probably going to have to consult somebody at the end of this year and talk to them about, my tax exposure to make sure, I don't go to jail, because the IRS does not play. And there's some stuff that can be obscured, and some of the stuff you can't. Shout out to Crypto Crow. I watched a YouTube video of his where he brought a tax specialist on who has studied this, and so I'll put that link in the video too, so you can go and check him out. He's got a lot of really good information, and so I kind of look up to him in this crypto game. There's a lot of people I do, David Hay. I don't follow people who hop on, multi-level marketing schemes. I don't do any shit like that. Like, I am, a disciplined investor who believes in the technology. And I follow people who believe in the technology, not people who are in here trying to get rich quick and trying to teach you ways to pump and dump and hustle people and stuff like that. People who actually exhibit some kind of integrity and technical acumen that I can actually learn from. Where I know we're all here to try to make, some money and whatnot. But yes, we're investing in the future. We're becoming part of this future technology. And so that's one thing that we all need to keep in mind as we move forward in this crypto space. So kind of got off on a tangent there, but yeah, so Robinhood is going to give Coinbase a run for their money, and I expect to see, kind of an arms war in regard to who's going to provide the best service, but just recognize it's a domestic exchange if you're in the Americas, and, they're going to cough up your information. Trust and believe that. The next thing, we talked about the futures, we talked about Robinhood, we talked about the new offerings. Yeah, and that's the next thing is it's tax time, and so with it being tax time, there's going to be a lot of things going on, a lot of options going on. All the markets, it's a sea of red in the top 10 right now. Some people see that as negative. It's definitely an opportunity. I told you, these futures are being driven down. They're driving this down. We're at 10,000 right now. Bitcoin will go below 10,000. It's not going to go down to zero. That's not going to happen. So the fact is, as long as you've held Bitcoin, if you held Bitcoin before, for those people who are trying to spread the fear, uncertainty and doubt, Bitcoin is not becoming worthless anytime soon. You're going to make a profit if you've held Bitcoin for right now. Now is a great time to buy. You can get stuff at bargain basement prices because it's going to go back up again. But I do anticipate we're going to go back up to 20K or above, especially as these technologies start to realize themselves. As long as these ICOs that have submitted stuff to the market start to provide actual products that you see implemented, and that drives up their value, and then people begin to understand that this is just more than a bunch of numbers and graphs on the screen or nerds trying to play stock market. Once they actually understand, what is going on here, you're going to see all this stuff explode. All right. Bitcoin will be a good store of value. Lightning Network will be implemented. It'll still be useful. Those people who actually are able to afford it will be able to learn. Will learn how to use Bitcoin, or something else some other cryptocurrency, will surpass Bitcoin or whatever. But this market itself is not going away. So this is why you need to invest in the technology you believe in now. Get your stuff now, because 5-10 years from now, whenever the price of Bitcoin is $100,000, you're going to be kicking yourself in the ass, just like the people who could have bought into this whenever it was $1, 10 cents, or whatever. We have less than 10% global adoption in regard to cryptocurrency, because everybody doesn't have access to the internet. Everybody doesn't understand the technology. Everybody doesn't trust the technology. But as we start to deal with more and more global instability, you're going to have more and more individuals, and also more and more global integration and revolution with governments that are falling and fiat currencies that are failing or suffering in exchange or comparison to this currency or that currency or cryptocurrency or whatever, you're gonna have more adoption. And especially when you're talking about like younger people who are tired of being screwed over by the banks. I just read the other day, I think it was Bank of America is going to start charging people if you have your money in the bank, and I think if you have less than 100 or maybe might be 500 in your account, they're going to start charging you per month just to hold on to your cash. So while your money's sitting there, you're losing it. Think about that. While your money is sitting in the bank, like your money, not in a checking account, just like in the bank, just there waiting to be spent, you are going to start losing it. And so if you don't pay attention to account, if you're some, college kid, just trying to save up or whatever, you're either going to have to put your money in a mattress until you can get it over a certain price point and then put it in the bank. Or you'll put it in the bank and just watch it, dwindle away and just pray that you never lose a job or go between jobs or whatever and get to a point where they're just taking your cash. And this is what pisses me off the most about this country is like so many kickbacks have been given to the financial industry. So much of our tax dollars go to the financial industry on a regular basis, and it just goes into the abyss. Like, I mean, for some rich guy, to buy a yacht to put in his other yacht, on his island or whatever. I mean, it's really fucked up. And so yeah, I want if I'm making money, I want my money to be secure. I'd like for it to grow. I'd like when I go to my bank account, what I put in is still there. Now, we've talked about the volatility of cryptocurrency and whatnot, but as adoption increases, it stabilizes. Right now, Andreas Antonopoulos, had a perfect analogy. He was like, right now, crypto is like a speedboat on, the ocean. And the speedboat on the ocean, as it's going on the ocean or whatever, it's, huge waves are hitting it or whatever, so it jumps up and it goes down, it jumps up and it goes down or whatever, but it's still going, because, it's small, it's limber, it's able to get places, but then also, too, it's dealing with these huge market forces that we're seeing. These big whales come along and they cause waves, and so it jumps up and it goes down and stuff like that. That's what you're dealing with in regard to the cryptocurrency space right now. But if you can stay on that boat, because that boat is being upgraded, more and more people are getting on that boat, so we have to make the boat a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger, until ultimately it becomes a cruise ship. And yeah, it's not going to go, you're going to see stability in that market like you do with fiat currency, because it's going to be globally adopted. It's going to be much more difficult for a whale to come along and disrupt that boat with a wave. You'll still see fluctuations, but it's going to be more difficult for it to be moved in the way that it's being moved right now. And so, yeah, I mean, it's happening. And I want this liberty, for myself. I want this liberty for my children. And that's the main reason why, I'm advocating for this market. I'm fighting for this market. I'm trying to get involved in this market, because I see an opportunity for growth that can actually, make those people who haven't had access to wealth, more wealthy. I don't know, if I'm ever going to be a millionaire someday. I mean, I'd love to be. I think everybody would love to be. But at the very least, I would like more transparency in regard to our financial system. I would like more access in regard to our financial system. And we're seeing it happen right now. You can invest in the stock market right now if you have Robinhood. You can invest in crypto right now if you have Robinhood or Coinbase. These are things that, you used to have to go and find a financial planner, and a stock market investor. It was just for people who had money and Wolf of Wall Street type access. You don't have to do that. You don't have to be Gordon Gekko now in order for you to get into this game and make a little bit of money. So yeah, I mean, we're seeing a sea of red right now, but I believe in the near future things are going to take off. There's, like I said, there's a Super Bowl commercial coming out. Super Bowl is coming up. I don't know whatever team you're rooting for, crypto is going to win, because whenever Coinbase advertises, I anticipate probably there might be some other ICOs that we haven't even talked about, some other cryptocurrency products that are being offered perhaps by the big banks or whatever that might be mentioned during these Super Bowl commercials and halftime and whatnot. Sponsors. I mean, I saw an internet gaming team that was sponsored by a crypto. So we're going to start to see stuff pop up, almost like NASCAR, promoters and whatnot all over the place. And that's going to bring more knowledge to crypto. That's going to bring more support to these platforms, to these projects. It's going to make a lot of people a lot of money. So we're still in a very, very great time for you to get in. And I just want everybody to, respect the tech. Do what you can and try to make, this crypto space, a better place. All right. Talk to you later. Thanks for hanging in there with me. I know this went a little bit long, but yeah, there was a bunch of stuff I had to talk about today. Just keep your eye open. Once you see Bitcoin hit between 8,500, something like that, 8,500, 9,000. Be ready. We're about to take off. So now's a great time to buy because we're going back up again. That's the beauty of this elevator. Just hold on to what you got. Talk to you later. Peace.